So speaking of homosexuality, you just talked about, kind of like finding your religion and finding, that side of yourself again. How do you feel about the two? Because, there's always an argument about homosexuality and religion.
Correct. So I was raised Seventh-day Adventist.
And Seventh-day Adventists.
For those who don't know, Seventh-day Adventism is the same as Orthodox Judaism. We just believe Christ is the Messiah and they do not.
Right.
And so the rules to the religion are the same. However, I became more spiritual than religious.
Right. Please explain the difference, because a lot of people don't know.
Reason being, when you are religious, you follow the confines, the guidelines, the rules that your religion teaches you, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, my religion is Christianity based. It's a sect of Christianity. And so if you assess Christianity over just a broad spectrum, God loves all his children. We were all made in his image and his likeness. Love is love. And I actually had a cousin, my first cousin, we grew up like brother and sister. He had this really rigid paradigm about homosexuality. And when my ex and I first started dating and it hit the shade room, he commented, and I kind of got upset because it's like, we're family, you could have called me, text me. Well, once he was incarcerated, he called me and he said, since I've been here, I've been getting back into the religion and my faith. And I went through the 10 Commandments and I read the commandment about love. Nowhere did it say that love was specific to a gender or any of that. It just basically the underlying point of this was love is love. And to love any and everyone, regardless of any and everything. And so for me, it's the way I see it, it's like this. Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, right? She came to Jesus, she washed his feet, she had an alabaster box, she repented, she was forgiven. So as that parallels to real life, if I fall off the wagon and I become a crackhead and I'm selling my body and I'm, doing drugs and I've abandoned my son, and then I repent, which the Bible says I can, I don't think God would exclude me from heaven.
Right.
And my religion also says, you can't have sex before marriage, no babies out of wedlock, don't eat shellfish, don't do this, Well, I've committed just about every sin in the Bible.
You and everybody else.
Right. So if I then come back to my faith and find my way back to my spiritual walk with God, who's to say that I won't be forgiven?
Right.
So at the end of the day, I can't help who I love. I didn't fall in love with her because she had a vagina.
Right.
I fell in love with her as a person.
Right. So you believe that you're born homosexual?
I believe that some people choose, and I believe some people were born. I also have another cousin who we know was born gay. We knew from toddler that he was gay.
Right. Why do you think people get so upset? I put up a question one day on Facebook that said, do you believe that people are born gay or
Well, my family didn't believe it.
People were upset.
My little cousin that we know was born gay was what shifted everyone's thought process.
Yeah.
So after the reunion, I took my ex with me to Huntsville, Alabama to meet my family.
Yeah.
She was all up in arms prior to, she was saying all kind of rude stuff. And then we got there and she was like, wow, now I know why your dad is the way that he is. I see where he gets it from. And my experience was nothing like what I thought it was going to be because my Nana lives by the Bible.
Yeah.
She was never going to reject her, make her feel unwelcome, unwanted, unloved. Yeah. She said, send me a picture for my picture wall. What's your address? I need to send you a Bible. Like, they embraced her, fully welcomed her, no judgment, no criticism. Right. We went to church on Sabbath. Right. So
your dad has been completely accepting of the relationship? That's
my whole family. And I think that my little cousin was the catalyst for that because I think they thought people choose this. And, they also felt like, I know my aunt at one point really felt like she influenced him that way and this and that. And it's like,
really?
Yeah. Wow. And, they thought they could pray the gay away. And it's just, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
you know, and so.
Right, I can't pray the straight away, right?
It is what it is.
Right. So what's your relationship now like with your mom?
My mom and I are good.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear because I remember watching, past seasons and it was a little rocky.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was 19 when she had me.
Oh, okay. A little young.
Yeah, the man I refer to as my dad is my stepdad.
Okay.
But like I said, he's known my mom since they were in 2nd grade, and he
raised you.
He raised me from infancy, and so
the gospel artist.
Yeah. Okay. And so the relationship with my mom, I think the more I began working on me, especially recently, I realized that I felt like my mom, I was holding a grudge. I just, there's so much that went on between my mom and my bio dad that I was actually lied to about. And so I kind of felt like, she was no better than my biological father at one point.
Are you in touch with him?
No. And
you don't sound like you want to be.
No, not at all. Yeah. And so I think what I realized was in the middle of the biological chaos, my dad, Dave, was the safe place.
Yeah.
And so the way that he was with us growing up versus the way my mom was, and my mom wasn't a bad mom, she was the best mom she knew how to be.
Yeah.
And again, that goes to the example you have growing up. I then had to look at how my mom, all the pain my mom experienced growing up versus what my dad had growing up.
Right.
My grandparents just celebrated their 53rd wedding anniversary. So my Nana is probably the closest thing to Jesus on earth, real life, So when I look at the capacity there, my dad's love capacity is unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. My mom's capacity is also very vast, but it's also very impatient and it's very critical and judgmental at times. Right. So that's what I didn't like. I didn't feel like I had the freedom to really just be me, and I felt like my mom at one point was so busy trying to make me into her idea versus nurturing who I was saying and showing her I was.
Do you think that's the source of your anger?
I think
or
so.
When you were angry?
I think so, yeah. And so even with being with women, I knew I liked girls when I was younger.
Wow.
So
is 80 your first lesbian relationship?
No.
Oh, okay.
So
open to the public.
Open to the public, yes.
Okay.
And so I think that even open to my family.
Yeah.
So I think that there were a lot of things that I would have done differently if my mom had done certain things differently. But she wasn't a bad mom.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know what I want to toast to? I want to toast to the fact that you're aware of that. Because a lot of people, when they go through things and then they act out and then they behave a certain way, don't know what the source is. So the fact that you've identified that, I think that's so powerful.
Thank you, girl. Let me
really,
get my virgin.
I really do. And I think that you're very, very, very intelligent and very articulate, and I love that.
Thank you.
So toast to that,
Thank
boo.
you. So
Yes.
yeah, so we're good. And
That's what's up.
Of course, like I said, every relationship goes through ups and downs, and it's never perfect.
I
and
think you're just starting to bloom. Forget
that's
love
how
and
I
hip-hop.
feel. That's how I feel, and I just feel like I'm in a really healthy space.
Yeah.
And so when the time is right, I'm sure that God will put somebody in my path that will.
Are you opposed to men?
I think so.
Why?
It would have to.
Men are
It
still
would
lit.
be.
Let's.
It would have to
clear.
be an amazing, amazing man.
Right, but it would have to be an amazing, amazing partner. Period.
But for a man, because I know now after being in an openly gay relationship, that's actually my preference. I probably would even venture to say I just wasn't actually living my authentic love life because now I don't even care.
Care.
So.
So looking back at Love and Hip Hop, do you regret any of the things that you did, you
Nope.
said, or nothing? Moniece, didn't we just talk about you getting saved and stuff like that without saying the word saved? You don't regret any of that?
No.
You threw a chair at Princess, she was 7 months pregnant, you don't regret it?
I didn't throw the chair, so I don't regret.
Well,
I
okay,
don't regret
that's
it.
right. Correction. Correct me, please. You did pick it up.
I picked
but
it
what
up.
if you did though? Let's hypothetically
You
say
know,
that.
at the reunion, I stated that that's not a normal reaction,
Saw that, yeah.
but I take it back. I don't take back my apology. That was very sincere. There's this thing, and it's not a princess thing, it's a pregnant person thing. So
If
let's
they
just
think that
remove
if
her
they
because
say-
Princess and I are good. So I want to make that very clear.
Okay, you guys
yeah,
are
we're
friends,
good. We're
or-
not friends,
Cordial.
but we're cordial. We're
Okay.
good. And
When did that happen? Okay, I know
it was at the reunion, but like,
Okay,
you know,
all
we're
right.
fine.
All right.
So it's a pregnant person thing where you think just because you're pregnant, you can say and do whatever you want.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when I was pregnant, my thing was from seasons 1 until current, all I've ever experienced is being torn down as a parent, right?
That's a core.
But there was a whole parental life going on before this show
Yeah.
that was never discussed.
Right.
And recently, my mom actually, for the first time in Cam's 8 years of life, acknowledged that I was nothing like the first time mom she thought I was going to be. I actually handled it really well. So I think that like I didn't put myself in harm's way. I didn't run around talking about people. I didn't put myself in dangerous situations.
And then what she said too
And then,
was-
right. And so
kinda
my
rough.
thing is like, you cannot seek me out.
Right.
She asked for that scene. I was told by production she wanted that scene. I told production, don't put me in a scene with her until after she has the baby because I don't trust myself to keep my hands to myself
And they said
because I
that.
already know what she's gonna do. She's gonna go for the jugular verbally. And at that point, once I hit the red zone, it's a wrap. And she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So you cannot seek me out.
Right.
You cannot go for the jugular and think that I'm just gonna be like, oh. Like, especially when people, even she said to me, she had no idea the amount of history between my family and the Norwood family. She was in the dark about other things simultaneously.
So your families know each other.
For 16 years. Since I was 15, I'm 31. So there were other things transpiring between the families simultaneously that she was unaware of.
Yeah.
So
So
for
when she found that out, it changed her perspective on everything.
correct. And so for me, it was like, this is your husband is Ray J. So I'm assuming that you know the feud that's going on between my mom and the sister and the mother-in-law and me and like my dad. Like I'm assuming you're aware of all of this.
Right.
And so when you go there, I'm taking it very personally because now you're in Norwood. And in my family, when one messes up, it's a reflection of everyone. And there may be a time gap or a lapse where we don't communicate as a family or with certain, are at odds. But ultimately, we come back together as a unit and we figure it out and we fix it.
Right.
So I'm working on the assumption that all families operate like mine, and now I'm learning that that's just not the case. I may not, always agree, and they may not always agree, but my heart is always with my family. No matter what we go through, good, bad, or indifferent. So you're never going to be able to sit in my face and challenge me about any one of my blood relatives for any reason ever. Right. And once you do, and you open that floodgate, see, I'm not usually the aggressor.
Right. But if you F with
But
me
when
now,
you open up that floodgate,
Right.
you need to be prepared
Right.
for what's going to come along with that.
What do you think of the concept of people always want to come for the person that reacts, but never wants to go to the person who started the shit in the first place?
Well, because the person
Why
that
is
started the shit in the first place is probably a textbook narcissist. So they're probably really good at making you look crazy, making you look like the problem, putting on a front
Story
like
of
there's
my
somebody
life.
that they're not. And that's really what it's called, gaslighting. So as I've been studying,
Oh, school me, sis.
yeah, it's called
please.
gaslighting. So basically, a narcissist will privately ignite a fire, for lack of a better term.
yeah.
They will poke you and do anything to evoke a reaction out of you. And see, in my case, I have a public track record of explosive reactivity.
Right.
Or
Being reactionary.
explosively
Yeah.
reactive.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Reactivity is not a word, children.
We got you.
But yeah, I have a public track record of being explosively reactive. So it suits a narcissist's agenda when you can privately provoke me, knowing that when I step on set, or knowing that if I'm in my feelings, I'll vent on social media, and then you can turn around and say, see, just because your transgression wasn't a public display doesn't mean it wasn't a transgression at all. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. And that's what I have said to several of my cast members that never makes the edit.
This is smart.
Just because your transgression didn't make the screen doesn't mean it didn't transpire.
Right.
We're in this scene right now because you were in my DMs, you were in my text messages, and they don't want me to show that. They don't want me to say that. But you and I know what it is. So when I walk in here and I slap the piss out you,
you look crazy.
I look crazy.
Right.
But meanwhile, I've been up all night like the little lion in Madagascar who was banished because he grew up in the zoo and everything was hunky-dory. And then he gets to Madagascar and he starts seeing all the little lemurs and they look like little sirloin steaks. And so he didn't want to eat his friends, so they banished him. And then they showed up because they're like, we can't abandon our friend. His mane is all fried and his claws are all, that's me. Because I've been up for 2 days marinating about whether or not I'm really going to.
Right. So what was the story about you hiding behind the door, waiting for her or something like that to sneak her or something? I think I saw something on, I don't know if it was the Shade Room or something, where you waited for her to come out and you was hiding behind the door.
Oh, at the scene. She told me at the season finale, she told me she kept saying her address in the scene. And I was like, I'm not coming to your house. And she actually threw a rock at my face in that scene.
That was never mentioned.
No, because you
didn't see that
you
part.
you saw it, it was in there. But I flicked it, like I didn't have glasses on. So to me, it also looked like just something small.
I must have missed that.
Well, no, you didn't miss it. It's right at the end. That was the last thing she threw, and I did like this. And that's when I walked away, and I was like, I'm not doing this. Well, in between that, what people don't know is that's why she said, yeah, you felt that, huh, bitch? It was a rock. And so she actually tore split a ligament in my right hand.
Oh, when you had on you know what?
So I was actually diagnosed with hypertension that same day. And that's
now
when
I was
high blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
So, and that's when I was like, you know what?
This
is just not healthy.
Yeah.
This is not healthy. I weigh 106 pounds. Hypertension? Are you joking me?
Right, for sure.
So that was an eye-opener for me that this is really taking a toll on my physical and mental well-being.
Yeah. So this segment here, I'm gonna list some names, and I just want you to tell me the first thing that pops into your mind, the first word.
Okay.
Ray J.
Transformed, but in a good way.
Okay. Princess Love.
I think pretty.
Pretty? Okay.
Yeah.
Lil Fizz.
Annoying.
Cam.
Deceiving.
Annoying and deceiving.
Annoying, deceiving, rude.
But y'all are co-parenting. Y'all doing
rude.
All right. Cam.
Everything.
AD.
Next.
Bridget Kelly.
She a trollop.
She a trollop. Apple Watts.
She's not one word. Well, yeah, underdog.
All right. I think that would be appropriate. Moniece, are you going to write a book? Girl, write a book.
I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book.
What's it called?
The Beginning.
All right, when's it going to drop?
I don't know.
Because you at the beginning of it.
No,
No?
I'm not.
How much have you written?
Not a whole bunch. I don't want it to be like this crazy novel, but I'm like over 100 pages in.
All right, cool. And tell us about the album, please.
Girl, the album The Naked Truth is out everywhere.
Go cop that. How many tracks?
There are 7 songs, but 10 tracks total, including the intro, the interlude, and the outro.
Okay. Are you bearing your soul on this album? So why'd you call it Naked Truth?
Because it was really just the truth about where I was at that time, which wasn't that long ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, Moniece, thank you so much for being a guest on Pedis and Mimosas.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I was tardy for the party, girl.
Girl, you good. You are so good. And I wish you all the best in your career.
Thank you.
Let's keep in touch. I'm going to throw a little Pedis and Mimosas party, and you better come.
I will. This time I'll be on time. I'm going to plan to leave my house 2 hours early.
All right, cool. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
Twitter is Callie's World. Don't ask me why. I wish I could change it, but I'll lose my blue check, and bitch, we know that is not an option. So K-A-L-I-S World. And my Instagram is just Moniece_Slaughter.
All right now. Thank you once again, Moniece, for being my guest on Pedis and Mimosas. I wish you all the best, and I know you are going to do well.
Thank you.
Toast, toast, toast.
Cheers.
Cheers.